at? Ellie, where are you at? All right, guys. Good morning. Thanks everyone for coming. Um, Last year when we did all the OYL stuff and the 600 calorie meals, this year we're doing the OYL initiatives as well. It clicked in my head that we had someone right in the family that is talking about things that are pertinent, talking about information that's pertinent. Kirk here is a chef in our company. He's in charge of where we get our pastries, the Carnegie Museum. So anybody in the last couple of years that has had any desserts that we prepared, they all come out of Kirk's kitchen. So that's one for you right there. They all love you already. Um, Kirk and Mario hooked up and they wrote this book that is called The Good, the Bad, the Cookbook. They're going to talk all about it. They'll be able to explain a little bit better than I can. But it really falls in the line with everything that we try and push here. So I thought it made sense. And now you guys get a book. They get an afternoon here, and we're going to serve their food. We're working on it all day long. We're going to make every item today is coming out of this book. So anything that you want to work on or any item that you find, you can come and talk to me and I can help talk you through it and tell you what we learned while we were doing it. So with that, here's our good buddies Kirk and Mario to talk about the good, the bad, and the cookbook.
Thanks, Lee.
How about this? Is this working? Okay, that's better. All right. Excuse me for the technical difficulties. It's kind of funny. We have a few technical difficulties here at Google, but I guess that happens everywhere. Um, First thing I want to do is I want to thank Google and Parkhurst for having us. We like to go around and do these things, and anytime we get the opportunity to do them, it's huge for us, and we have a lot of fun doing them. So I want to thank them, and I also want to give a big thank you to Natalie, who just came up and fixed the microphone situation. Not only did she fix the microphone situation, but all through these last couple weeks, she orchestrated this entire thing. She's the one that got the books in for you, and we were back and forth. So I want to tell her thank you. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and tell my story. Is there anyone in Atlanta watching? Atlanta? Hi, Atlanta. How are you? There you go. Fantastic. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and tell my story, why we wrote the book, how I got here, what am I doing here, and then I'm going to turn it over to Kirk and let him tell his story because it's a little bit different the way we came together. And then I'm going to go into, I want to talk about some food things, some food issues, probably, why a lot of you are here. And then Kirk's going to come back in, and he's going to talk about more of the cooking aspect and how you can actually put these ideas that we talk about into practice, and make it work. So my story is right out of high school, I went to Westmoreland County Community College, right in Youngwood, PA, for culinary arts. I did a 3-year apprenticeship at the Duquesne Club on 6th Avenue, right here in Pittsburgh. After my 3-year apprenticeship, I ended up staying on full-time, and I was promoted to sous chef. So I was the youngest sous chef in Duquesne Club history at the time. I worked there for about 2 years. But what happened over that time that I worked there altogether for about 7 years. And what happened in that time was I went in feeling good, right out of high school, young kid, chipper, green, green behind the ears. And then I put on a lot of weight. My routine, when I was at the club, was I would get up in the morning, get right out of bed, get a shower, go straight to work. I'd eat all day at work, steaks, lamb chops, lobster tails, prime rib, good stuff. So, why not? It's there. I would eat it all day long. Then before I left, obviously, who wouldn't do this? I hit the pastry shop, would have some cookies, some cakes, some pies, some ice cream, whatever they had. Then I get in my car. I had about a 45-minute drive home. On my way home, I would hit Sheetz, get a 12-inch MTO, go home, watch TV for a couple hours, eat my MTO, go to sleep, and get up and do it all over again. Wasn't a very conducive lifestyle for health. Wasn't very good. So, needless to say, I put on a lot of weight, and I felt terrible. Not only, did the way I looked change, but I was lethargic. I was tired all day. I just didn't feel good. Well, funny thing was, at about this time, my father's a chiropractor, and I watched him struggle for years to lose weight. He's always had a weight problem, and for his being a healthcare practitioner, he wanted to lose weight for his patients and to put on to have a healthy image and to live longer, obviously. So I watched him try every diet: high fat, low fat. There is even an all fat diet that he tried. He even tried the weight loss cure where you're injecting yourself every morning, with HGH and all those different things. Wasn't fun. Didn't lose any weight. Then all of a sudden, I watched over a 6 month period of time. He lost 82 pounds. I went to pick him up at the airport one day, and I lived with him, and I didn't recognize him getting off the plane. The guy I live with, because he lost that much weight in that much time. And I said, wait a minute, how come you can do it at your age and I can't? He said, well, here, go ahead and do it. So I did what he told me to do. And lo and behold, it took me 5.5 months, a whole football season, NFL season. I lost 70 pounds. Felt not only did I lose the weight, but I was lighter than when I started at the club. My energy went up. I actually wanted to work out. I wanted to do more things. I was getting up earlier in the morning. I had, a much better outlook. And that's when I said, you know what? I need to, work with this. I need to do something to get this out to everyone else, because I see a lot of people who have the same issues. So I left the club and I went to work for him full time. I became his wellness director at his office, at his chiropractic office. I did that for a year. And in that year's time, a couple things happened. Number one, I missed cooking. I realized that. And number two, everyone who I would coach or I would talk to about their health and their weight would always say, what can I eat? What can I eat? I'm tired of eating grilled chicken. I'm tired of eating salads. You're a chef. What can I eat? So then I thought, you know what? This is getting to the point where, and I was doing this for a lot of people. We should write a book. We should just write a book for these people so that they can use it, and they can just implement it right into their lifestyle. So I thought, well, I can't really do this on my own. It's a big undertaking. What do I do? Well, Kirk, when I started at the Duquesne Club, was the executive sous chef there at the time, and we kept in touch. So I called Kirk and I threw the idea out of, do you want to do a cookbook? And Kirk, he'll tell you, as you can see him stand there, he's not one. He doesn't get overly excited. He doesn't jump on ideas. He doesn't play around. But when I told him that idea, he did get excited, and he started throwing ideas out, and we started talking about it. So it took us, about 3 months?
3 months.
About 3 months to write the book, and it took us over a year to get it published, because publishers sometimes can be difficult to work with, and we learned that the hard way. And so lo and behold, we have the book. Since the book's come out, I've gone around, Kirk and I both have done demonstrations at Giant Eagles, at the market districts. We've done at Crate, we've taught classes. On April 11th, we actually are going to be teaching a cooking school class at the Robinson Giant Eagle, if anyone is interested and wants to attend. I've done Chamber of Commerce events. I've done Rotary demos at Rotary meetings, and I even got to do, believe it or not, about a month ago, a week-long carnival cruise to the Western Caribbean. I got to speak to a group of about 250 people about health and cooking and nutrition. So I got to cruise all week. Took 20 minutes to talk, and it was great. It was awesome. That's the kind of job that I like. And then recently, and I brought this. I thought this is perfect. Coming to Google. Has anyone here ever heard of Google Plus? Anyone? Okay, that's what I thought. Well, I just came on board with ChefHangout.com. Is anyone familiar with ChefHangout.com? What ChefHangout.com is, it's a website. There's 24 chefs from around the world, and I happen to be one of them. And Kirk's going to be working with me on this. What you do is you go to ChefHangout.com, and all of us chefs list cooking classes. So they're all different, and the general price is $20 for an hour class, but they can fluctuate depending on what meal you're going to make. If you see something you like, you sign up for the class. As soon as you sign up for the class, you get an email with the recipe and all the ingredients and prep that you need for the class. You come back on at that time of the class, go to Chef Hangout, hit log in. You have to log in. You have to use Google Plus to log in. If you don't have Google Plus, you can't log in. So you go back on there, you click log in, and via Hangout at on Google Plus, everyone knows what that is. I'm sure is very familiar with that. I teach a cooking class from my home. You're in your home. And, we cook. I oversee the whole thing. I can give you tips, tricks. We cook together. And then at the end of it, we get to hang out and eat. So it's a really cool idea. It's something that's really, really fun. And I figured, with Google Plus and everyone here and I'll be honest, I use all the social networks. The popular ones, I'm on all of them. But Google Plus is by far and away my favorite. The things that you can do on there, the Hangouts, all those extra things, honestly, it blows my mind. So that's why I got on board with them when I found them, and I wanted to bring that up here so you guys can check it out if you're interested. That being said, I'm going to turn it over to Kirk, let him tell his story, which will probably be a lot shorter than mine. I tend to have a rambling problem. I'm sorry. I tried the hotline. It doesn't work the same way. Go ahead, Kirk. You can tell your story, and then I'll go on with...
Thanks, Mario. First of all, obviously, you know Mario's going to be the talker of this group. I'm pretty quiet until I get to know you, kind of laid back. But I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I started cooking when I was about 16, small little Italian restaurant that my parents used to go to every Friday. And the owner of the restaurant was the executive chef up at Laurel Valley Golf Club in Ligonier. Got interested in cooking there, and he took me with him up to Laurel Valley. And I was basically at a plateau there. Where should I go from here? And he definitely said, you need to go to a culinary school. So I went to New York. I was up there for a 21-month program. Came back, spent a little bit of time down at Breakers in Palm Beach, did my externship there. And then I was young, so basically became a little bit homesick. Wanted to come back home and decided to go down to the Duquesne Club. I heard about the Duquesne Club as number one private city club at the time. It was the best place to grow. Started there when I was 20, and I was there for 11 years, worked my way up the chain, became a sous chef at 23, and became the executive sous chef at 26. Great place to work, learned a lot there, very high-end, very intense atmosphere, which kept my drive going. Was there for 11 years, kind of reached a plateau there. The chef that's there now is going to be retired from there, so I was ready to move on. Heard a lot of great things about Parkhurst. Met with Brian Marentz and John Levi about Parkhurst, and there was an opening at the Carnegie Museum. So talked with them briefly, had 2 quick meetings, and the next thing you know, I was the executive chef at the Carnegie Museum. Started there 5 years ago. Handle events. We do 40 to 60 weddings a year. Obviously, we do the pastries for you guys. We do banquets from 2 to 2,000 people. We have 2 little a la carte cafes, nothing major. We do breakfast and lunch, no dinner. We do have lecture series, dinners at night. Basically, my other story is I was like Mario too. We're at the Duquesne Club, and you have all that great food there 24/7. And obviously, fat is good. So we would eat, and we used to make a thing called Scooby Snacks. What we used to do was, it used to be how creative and how many calories can you put into a sandwich, or make something fried that was, unbelievable. And you would eat it, and it was incredible, and then you would feel like a ton of bricks and want to go to bed right afterwards. And obviously, the weight came on. I reached my highest weight. I was 272, and then I just got sick and lethargic with yourself. Mario brought to my attention, since we kept in touch all the years, and we were talking about doing a cookbook, something that we thought that would help us without getting so technical on the ideas. So basically, the name, The Good, the Bad, the Cookbook comes from, because during the week, it's very easy to have a regimented schedule to do your 400 to 600 calories. Usually at work, you can watch what you take or how you eat at work, and that's easy to follow. But your body still wants that fat, oh, I feel good now, I just had a couple beers or something like that. So the bad is basically saying that you can't diet every single day of your life. You're going to be miserable, and it's going to be hard, and you're going to be eating the same things sometimes. So what we did was call it basically a cheat day. So there's the bad section. You pick a day like a Sunday or a Saturday or something like that, where I'll turn around on Sundays and Saturdays, and with the football games and things like that, we'll make dips, we'll get wings, we'll get pizza, we're going to drink some beers. We're going to have a good time, but you get back on your schedule. What that does is your metabolism builds up throughout the week, that you're able to have that cheat day. You might fluctuate a little bit in weight. By the middle of the week, you're going to break back down to the weight you were. So it was just a program that worked out great for me and worked out great for Mario. I lost a little over 50 pounds in, I think it was 4 months. And that's also with doing some daily exercises, treadmills, things like that. But the nutrition was the biggest thing that pushed it. So that was basically my whole personal on it.
Thanks, Kirk. Now what I want to go into, now that you know a little bit about us, I want to go into, I want to talk about some of the stuff you have here at Google. And I want to talk about some of the problems that we have with food today. And I'm sure, do we have pretty much a very health-conscious crowd here? Is mostly everyone kind of health-conscious? Some people need some persuasion. Okay, good. We have a good mix. Let's see. The first thing I want to talk about, the first thing I noticed when I came to Google, Kirk and I came here a few weeks back just to, to talk to Craig and to Chef Lee. And the first thing I noticed was all the food stands you guys have everywhere. There's food everywhere. And I think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think what they said was that no Google employee is to be farther than 140 feet from food at any time. Is that correct? Is that right? Well, that's a fantastic, fantastic thing. And you know what? The reason is our metabolism is like a coal furnace, okay? If you don't shovel coal into the furnace, it's not going to turn on. So I know everyone here knows about how you should eat 6 small meals a day, right? That's what everyone says. Well, the reason for that is because of the metabolism and the fact that your metabolism, the fact that you have food at your disposal right there is awesome. You can really utilize that in such great ways. And I also noticed in the cafe how you have your Google pyramid. Everything's color coded. You have the scales. Now, let's get real here. Who does anyone here use the scales every day? You do? That's awesome. I mean, that's great. But as you can see, you don't occasionally. Well, look around the room. There's what, about 20 of us in here, and no one uses scales every day. It's nice to have. It's nice that it's there, and it can be utilized, but it's a theory. Okay, you're not going to use it. What I like to do is when I'm eating, and you guys can do this too, because this really helped me a lot when I was trying to watch. I call it visual eating. So what you want to do is instead of counting all your calories and whatnot, first of all, you have to use some common sense. You have to know that if you eat French fries and pizza, you're probably not going to lose weight, and you're probably not going to be healthier. I mean, that's common sense. But if you picture your plate, your dinner plate, picture a third of it a lean protein, okay, chicken, fish, grilled, lightly sautéed, broiled. 2/3 of your plate vegetables, or if you want to starch, go with a complex carb over a simple carb. Go something like brown rice, sweet potato, baked sweet potatoes, things like that. And then you can have a salad as big as you want with oil and vinegar. Now that's the perfect meal. You can deviate from that here and there or how you like, but that's an easy way to eat without having to use the scale every day, okay? Now, another thing I want to bring to your attention is people focus on, and I know that Google has talked about too, for the 400 to 600 calorie meals. And the recipes in our book, we designed them to be right around that 600 calorie mark. There's a few of them that go over slightly, but everything in the good section is mostly the 600 calories. But what I want you guys to really take in is that calories aren't everything. Okay, when we eat and when we get hungry, our bodies, we're not eating for calories. We're eating for nutrition. Our body is fueled by nutrition. It's fueled by vitamins, minerals, amino acids, proteins, oxygen. It's not fueled by calories, okay? Granted, calories are made up of those things, but we need to focus on the nutrition. There were studies done that showed that people, all these people that are over in Europe and all over the world who are living the longest, who are living to their late 90s, even into their hundreds, they have eaten less calories in their lifetime than the people who die younger. So there's been studies done, and you can Google it. I wanted to do that here. I'm sorry. You can Google it, and you can look it up and see that people who eat less calories, on average, have a longer lifespan. What we need to do is we need to get as much nutrition as possible with as few calories as possible. Okay? It's not an easy thing to do, but it can be done. What are some things that you can eat throughout the day for your 6 meals to help you out with that? Well, and I noticed a lot of these things at your stands. Let's talk about fruits first, because fruits are great. Fruits should typically be eaten early in the day. You should eat those before lunchtime. And there's a lot of fruits and vegetables, for that matter, that are negative calorie foods. Is anyone here familiar with the term negative calorie food? You are? Great. Right. What's that? Exactly. But there are fruits that are negative calorie foods too. Fruits such as berries, apples, honeydew, strawberries, tomatoes, grapefruits, peaches, and there's more. You can look that up as well. But a negative calorie food, basically, it takes your body more calories to digest the food than the food actually has in it. So you can eat those and not have to worry. And another thing is, the reason that you want to eat that fruit early in the day is because, like I said, fruit has higher sugar than vegetables. Now, your body needs sugar, okay? Your body needs your brain actually is fueled by sugar. You need 4 grams of sugar every 3 hours for your brain to function optimally. And that's why people who go on these diets that don't eat carbs at all, that don't take in sugars, they get that fog. And I know if you know, I've tried it before. I've talked to people who do it. They get that. They say it's just like a brain fog because they don't have the necessary sugar. Now you look at little kids. Now I'm sure some of you in here have kids. You feed them juice, you feed them cereal, you put milk on that. Those are all high sugar foods. So you're giving them like 60 grams of sugar in the morning, and you send them to school, and they're nuts. Then they crash. It's because they're getting too much sugar. So there's a line there that you don't want to cross. You don't want to have too much sugar. But then again, you do need some sugar. So sugar's really not the enemy as long as you don't get too much of it or too little of it. So that's why you want to have fruits early in the day. Later in the day, you want to stick more to vegetables. Less sugar, okay, but they still have the necessary amount that you need. Some negative calorie vegetables would be, like he said, celery sticks, cucumbers, broccoli, cauliflower, zucchini, green beans, spinach. And now, negative calories, most of these, you can do some research, but most of these foods are negative calorie when they're raw. So we're talking about eating them raw, eating them as a snack, eating an apple, eating an orange, having some cucumber cut up and eating that. And those are great things to snack on throughout the day that'll keep your metabolism running and that'll keep your body fueled with some nutrition that you need. Is anyone here concerned with some of the issues that are going on food-wise today? What are some of your concerns? Perfect. Factory farming. That's great. So you're talking about like beef, fish. Okay. Couple rules of thumb with that, and we're gonna open up the questions too. But I want to get your input as we go along so we can talk about these. The problem with that we're seeing with our beef, with our and with our fish is you always. I'm sure you guys know this. You always with beef. You always want to get grass-fed, and you always want to go organic as much as possible. With your fish, you always want to go wild-caught. The reason is over farming has caused that because we're farming so much corn and so much soybeans. Those are the top two things. We're actually started to throw corn away because we farm so much of it, and we just have such a surplus of corn in this country. We're feeding it to our cattle and to our fish. When's the last time any of you went to an aquarium and looked into the glass and saw a fish swimming around chewing on an ear of corn? Never, right? It doesn't happen. Fish aren't supposed to eat corn. Okay, it doesn't make sense. What happens is when you feed this, and beef's the same way, cattle's supposed to eat grass. When you feed them things they're not meant to be eaten, their digestive system doesn't work properly. And then fish especially, they become very acidic. They become very inflamed. And then when we eat that, that's what happens to us. You hear the term you are what you eat? Well, in that case, that's what happens. So overfarming is a big thing. And then that's where, for beef, the antibiotics come in. Because they have to give them the antibiotics after they feed them the stuff they're not supposed to eat. They then give them the antibiotics to calm them down. Then we're eating that and eating the antibiotics. And another thing that really, as we go on to this over-farming concept is GMOs. Are you all familiar with GMOs? What a GMOs is a genetically modified food. So corn and soybeans, again, are the number 1 and 2 genetically modified food. In the 1970s, it was impossible to get a patent on a food. Because we don't make food. Food grows. It comes from the ground, okay? You couldn't patent it because it's there. Well, now Monsanto owns a few different patents for corn. Why? Because they make a product called Roundup. And what they would do is they would spray the Roundup on the corn to kill the bugs, the weeds, so that they could, just grow the corn. Well, what they found was the Roundup was actually killing the corn as well. Not good. So instead of saying, you know what, maybe we shouldn't be spraying this on there if it's killing it. First of all, I want to point out the fact that herbicide, pesticide, homicide, suicide, genocide, anything that ends in "-cide" means death. So herbicides and pesticides, spraying it on the food, that means death. It killed the corn. Do you want to eat that stuff? I don't. So what they did was, instead of saying that we're not going to spray it on there, they took the corn and genetically modified it. They changed the genes in the corn by putting markers in it so that now this corn is resistant to Roundup. You can soak the corn in Roundup, and it won't do anything to it. So they modified it. Why is that scary to us? Well, the United States has really done no testing on genetically modified foods to know what they do to us, but other countries have. 40-plus countries in Europe have made it mandatory to label their GMOs, and France has even gone as far as outlawing them completely. But in the United States, it's law that they do not have to tell us what is and what isn't genetically modified. And another thing that's really scary is when I went on this cruise a few months back, or it was about a month ago actually, that I told you about, there was a speaker that went on after me, and he works for a health company that they make skin serums and creams for burn victims. So they make patches and they make creams. If you're burned and you're in the hospital in the burn unit, they're going to put this on your burns to help them heal faster. And they did a lot of DNA research and a lot of studying to find out, what works best, how things work, and how to use it. And what they found was patients with leaky gut syndrome who actually eat a lot of, if you go and you buy, who eat genetically modified foods, they found out that some of these markers can actually leak out into their gut and change their human DNA as well. So, and like I said, it really hasn't been tested that far in the United States because for some reason they don't want to, but it's something to look at. So what you want to do with the over-farming problem is and the GMOs, you always want to buy organic as much as possible. Now, there's some things you should buy organic, and some things you don't necessarily have to, okay, as far as food, because I know organic's expensive. What do you have to buy organic? Does anyone know what the number one thing you should buy organic is? Does anyone want to guess? You can only buy one thing organic. What would it be? No one cares? No? No, good guess. But butter. If you're going to buy anything organic, buy butter, because butter is all fat. And toxic waste in your body and in animals' bodies is stored in their fat. So you want to buy butter organic. The number two thing you should buy organic is red meats. All your red meats, and then all your poultry and your proteins, and then all your produce. Produce-wise, you should buy anything that has a thin peel, should be organic. If it has a thicker peel, not necessarily. Cantaloupes, you don't necessarily need to buy organic. I do. You don't have to. Berries, I would buy all organic, just because they have that thinner skin and you're going to eat that. The best way to do it, has anyone heard of CSAs? Do you use a CSA? Oh, that's great. That's awesome. What a CSA is, are their local farms. And you can talk to them and you pay up front for, how long is yours? Is it like 6 months? 9 months? Yeah. Okay, so you pay up front for the 9 months, and what they do is the farmer will send you their best produce so much. So you pay for 9 months, and they'll say, I'll send you a pound or 2 pounds of my best produce every month. And it'll be something different. It'll be seasonal, and you'll get it on your doorstep once a month. And then you can use those vegetables that are locally grown, so it supports the local farmers, the local agriculture, and everything's organic and fresh. And it's way better. And you'll notice if you use that the flavors in those foods are far and above those that you can buy at the grocery store. Because with over-farming comes the fact that the foods they're not as nutrient dense. So when you get these organic, locally grown produce, the more nutrients equal more flavor. A carrot doesn't taste like a carrot. Go to the supermarket, get a carrot. Go to the farmer's market, get a carrot, and taste them side by side. What you'll notice is the one from the farmer's market tastes more like a carrot than the one from the supermarket. And I noticed that a long time ago when I was working in a kitchen, because how many carrots did we used to go through at the club?
Probably about 100 pounds a day.
Yeah. And that's what I noticed, because you'd be peeling them, you'd be cutting them, you'd pop one every once in a while. And then I'd go home and I'd have organic ones in my fridge, and I'd taste one of those, and they tasted different. The ones at home tasted a lot more like carrots. You find that same thing?
Yes.
So, I mean, now the reason, again, I'll just touch on this point because I think it's pretty important, and then we'll go into question and answer. The reason that the food is not only with the over-farming, is more nutrient or less nutrient dense than the food that's organically grown is because, again, of these herbicides and pesticides. They spray them on the foods, and what they didn't account for when they did this was the herbicides and pesticides leaching off the foods and into the soil. What happened when it hit the soil was it kills the ecosystem that lives in the soil. There's an ecosystem in the soil of microbes, and their job is to take the inorganic rock minerals, like a rock, and turn it into an organic mineral, like a mineral, for the plant to then uptake, and then we eat, and we get the minerals. Well, that doesn't happen anymore because they've killed that ecosystem. So now we're growing carrots, we're growing radishes, we're growing celery, the land's over-farmed to begin with, and it just doesn't have the nutrition. Just to throw some numbers into it, in 1976, if you had one apple, okay, if I had an apple in my hand from 1976 and I gave you that apple, and then someone else said they wanted an apple, but I don't have any more from 1976. I have some apples from 2012. How many apples do you think it would take today to equal the nutrition content of one apple in 1976? Higher. Higher. Almost. 13. Take 13 apples today to equal the nutrition content of one apple in 1976. Spinach is even more interesting. In the 1950s, women used to eat a lot of spinach because they go through their menstrual cycles. They would lose a lot of blood, and blood is high in iron. Spinach is high in iron, so they would eat spinach to make up for that iron deficiency. Well, one bowl of spinach in the 1950s, how many bowls would you have to eat today to equal the iron content of a bowl of spinach in the 1950s? 57. You have to eat 57 bowls of spinach today to equal one bowl, iron-wise, in the 1950s. because each time there was a Senate report, and you can look this up too. I think it was Article 34. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but I do have a copy of it, and I can email it to you guys if you want to see it. It was in the 18, I believe it was 1884. They brought it in front of the Senate that said that the ground itself was over-farmed then, and people back in the 1800s they proposed were 90% mineral deficient. So do you think that's gotten better or worse since then? I think it's gotten worse. Okay, and minerals are more important even than vitamins, because vitamins can't work in your body unless minerals are there to drive them. Okay, minerals are like the spark plugs of your body. We need as many minerals as we can get on a daily basis, and a lot of our foods don't have the minerals that we used to have. So that's another reason for you, But vitamin B, everyone says, is what gives you energy. People get in for vitamin B shots all the time. Well, you might have vitamin B, but if you don't have enough minerals to drive that vitamin in your body, it's not going to work. Same thing with alcohol. You go out tonight and you have a glass of wine with dinner, right? Your body needs to detoxify that alcohol for it to process. Your liver detoxifies that with an enzyme called alcohol dehydrogenase. You could have all the alcohol dehydrogenase you want in your body, but if you don't have enough organic zinc to drive it, it's not going to work. Okay? So minerals are very, very important, and that's another thing that we're not getting enough of. So you need to eat. You need to eat fruits. You need to eat more vegetables. You need to eat them more often. And that's why, this place is great, because you can count it right out in your cafe. You can look at your pyramid. You can look at everything, and you can make that happen. So, you have everything at your disposal here. You just need to use them. Dad, anything you want to... Do you want to talk about
nothing
cooking?
On that point?
Why don't you talk about cooking for like singles, for couples, how they can incorporate that stuff into their daily lives, and how they can cook for a week. If you're single, you don't want to have a bunch of leftovers.
Yeah, I'll touch a little bit on that. We want to get back a little bit with all Mario's facts that we actually used in the cookbook. But the cookbook we want to talk basically about too is that where Mario's talking about for the singles or couples or cooking for a week. Basically, a lot of these recipes in here is another reason why we did it is you don't have to be a chef to do these. These are very simple recipes. My mother, my grandmother, they use this book throughout the day. They were a little hesitant at first, just like everybody is. But once they made it, they were very excited about it. The good thing about it is a lot of the portions that we broke down from the nutritional facts in here, and the way we shopped in here is very easy to go find these products. You can go through your Giant Eagle, your Whole Foods, and pick up all these products to where you can use for two people, one person, or you could family style it. It's very simple to do with all these recipes. I think that was the point that Mario wanted to bring up in the book. That's really about it.
So we can answer for you? Cooking-wise, nutrition-wise, food-wise? Yeah, does Atlanta have questions? They've been so quiet, I forgot they were there. No, I'm just kidding. I knew you were here. I know it looks like I'm looking behind, but I'm actually looking at you. Oh, great. Yeah, I would definitely jump on that. That's awesome.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you now. What's up, Atlanta?
Hi. I have a really quick question for you, and maybe you can dispense
One second. We just need to turn our volume down on this end.
Oh, sorry, I'm really loud.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not your fault. Good. Try it.
Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, that's great.
All right, sorry. I had heard if you eat 6 mini meals and you eat, fruits and vegetables, that you should have some sort of fat with it, whether it's like just a small piece of cheese or, some whole wheat crackers that have some fat in it. Is that true, or are you good with just kind of having just some regular carrot sticks or celery sticks or just an apple, or is it better for your metabolism to have that fat with it?
That's a great question. And actually, I'm trying. Okay, so you're behind us, so I keep looking back to try to look at you, but you're right there. When you eat anything high in sugar, say you eat a banana or some strawberries, whatever, you should have a little fat in there, but you shouldn't have it should be a particular kind of fat. So what I would do is if you eat some fruit, for a snack, throw a couple almonds in there, throw a couple walnuts in there, and that will actually slow down the absorption of the sugar and actually knock it down so it's not as high on the glycemic index for your body. Okay. Another thing too that I want to mention now that we're talking, that you mentioned fruits, if you're trying to lose weight, okay, in particular, the fruits that I would avoid or the vegetables I would avoid, bananas, mangoes, and carrots. Okay, only if you're trying to lose weight, and the reason is, as I said, they're a little higher on the glycemic index, and bananas typically have a few more calories than the other fruits. The best fruit to eat as a snack are berries, strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, blueberries, and those can even be eaten later at night because they're higher in protein than other fruits as well. So does that answer your question?
Very much.
Absolutely. Anyone else? Questions? Okay. Anyone here have questions? Yes. Yeah, the question that he asked, so in Atlanta, he said we were talking about on, right? The 4 to 600. It depends. It depends if you eat 400 or if you eat 600. Typically, the the intake, as everyone says, is 2,000 calories a day is what an adult needs. Obviously, it depends on your body makeup, how much you weigh, your basal metabolic rate. But let's just talk 2,000 calories. If you eat 600 calories a day, then that's 3 meals, and that gives you 200 calories to play with for snacks. So you should be eating snacks in between. You should never just eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, and not eat anything in between. Because like I said, if you rest too long without eating, your metabolism is going to drop off. So you need to have some, an apple in there, an orange, a couple almonds, something just to keep that boost, and that'll get you to your 2,000 calorie. If it's 400, now you're talking 1,200. Now you have 800 calories. So you can do 400 calorie meals, and then you still have some calories to play with as snacks. So that's how you should plan it out throughout your day. But I just
How about working out too?
Yeah, if you work out, that's a great point. If you're working out and you're burning calories, then obviously you can take in more. You should be taking in more calories. It takes 3,500 calories burnt negatively to burn 1 pound of fat. So you can do the math. You can figure out how that works. But if you're working out, especially if you're weight training, obviously you need more protein. Your body uses the amino acids and the protein to rebuild the muscle. So that's another thing to keep in mind. And the more you work out, the more active you are, the higher your metabolism is going to be even at rest, the more calories you will burn doing normal things. Okay? Great question, though. Yes? Yes, that's a great question, too. He just asked if you do other considerations for working out, if you do high aerobic activities, what you lose through your sweat with your exercise and everything. The first thing I will say is if you exercise, especially aerobically, make sure you drink plenty of water. That's the biggest thing. Gatorade I would steer away from. It's very high in sugar, very high in salt. The best thing to have is water. So you want to make sure you stay hydrated, especially as you're working out. Even with aerobic exercise and anaerobic exercise, you have about a half an hour window at the end of that workout to get protein into your body. Because even running, you're breaking down muscle fibers. Every time you flex a muscle, you're tearing fibers, and they need to be repaired. So I would have, to replenish, I would have a shake, a protein shake afterwards. Make sure it's a very high-grade protein, high-grade whey protein. And
No synthetics.
no synthetics. Try to get undenatured if you possibly can, because what happens is everything in America, every product that's made here that's dairy is pasteurized. And what that heat does to protein, it denatures the protein. So the cysteine isn't there to help rebuild because cysteine is one of the amino acids it takes to rebuild your muscles. If you can find undenatured whey, your body will use it phenomenally. It'll absorb much better, and then you can add things to it. You can add omegas to it. I would definitely take omegas. They help with inflammation. They're also very good for your stamina and for helping you through your workouts.
I think also it's a lot of trial and error. Everybody's different. I found out through working out with a lot of friends and what they take in, the amount of calories, the amount of protein. It didn't necessarily work for me.
A general rule of thumb is to maintain the muscle mass you have, take your body weight. You need 0.8 grams of protein per pound to maintain the muscle mass you have. If you up it and you work out, work your muscles harder, then you can put on more mass. But if you take your body weight that you weigh, times it by 0.8, that's how many grams of protein you need a day to maintain the muscle mass that you have right now.
I think basically I take in pretty much between 3,000 and 3,200 calories a day, but I still pretty much burn it off. My weight will fluctuate a little bit over the weekends because I cheat, but usually on Tuesday or Wednesday I'm back down to my norm. I'm usually anywhere between like 222, 227. I stay in that realm. Protein, I try to take protein pre-workout and after workout. That's just, it works the best for me. After is important for everybody. So if you're going to go that way with it.
In my memory, and I can't remember. What did you just say at the beginning of that? You're talking about your workout, your calories. Okay, well, let's move on. It'll come back to me. Yes.
Yes. For energy? Can you repeat the question?
Yeah,
Oh, me repeat? Oh, I'm sorry. You're asking about if do I take more protein, more carbs, or what would help before workout? Mm-hmm. I'll be honest with you. There are a lot of pre-workout things out there, but the thing about it is a lot of them are not tested, not approved. Like you go to GNC and things like that. Has anything really worked for me? Honestly, no. I'll be honest with you. I take a shake and that kind of gets me going. It's low in calories. I usually have enough energy in the morning because I do work out like first thing in the morning. It's when your body's the best time to work out. And I do sometimes work out in the evening. But the thing about it, through the evening, I already probably have 2 snacks in plus a lunch in. So I'm already building up on that.
Here's a fact too for you. If you work out first thing in the morning before you eat anything, if you just get up and as soon as you get out of bed you hit the treadmill or the weights, you will burn 300% more fat throughout the day because it gets your body going. There's that afterburn after your workout, and you've already spiked your metabolism, so your body's going to keep working all day long. So that's the best time to do it. A lot of people like to do it in the afternoon or at night, and it still works, but the absolute best time to do it is first thing in the morning. And if you're looking for stuff for energy, I have a program that I can talk to you about. I don't want to talk about it up here because I don't want to endorse anything. But if you grab me afterwards, I can talk to you and we can get, I can give you some recommendations. Atlanta, let's talk.
Question for you about breakfast. What do you recommend is the best thing to start the day? Because I find if I have, cereal or, an English muffin or something, the carbs that I'm like hungry really early, and it's kind of a Google thing that everybody eats lunch like at noon, so it's not weird. But for normal people who eat lunch at like 12:30 or 1 o'clock, I'd be starving. So what do you recommend is the best thing to start your morning with?
Great. I'm so glad you asked the breakfast question because it's something that I skipped over. Breakfast is so important, and you're right. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day because it's what starts your metabolism in the morning. A lot of people skip breakfast. I'm glad you don't. A lot of people do, and that means that their metabolism doesn't get started till they eat lunch. So that's not good. Best things to eat for breakfast. Me personally, in the morning, I always have a protein shake. I have a high protein shake. It's a protein mineral shake that I use, that I have for breakfast, and that gets me going perfectly. I usually work out first thing in the morning, then I have my shake for breakfast. But if you're looking for something, I wouldn't eat a lot of sugar. The problem, like I said, with sugar is if you overload with sugar, your body's gonna shoot up with the insulin level. It's gonna work hard, which is gonna make you tired. And then especially if it's artificial sweeteners. Artificial sweeteners are the worst things you can put in your body, period. They're terrible. And did you know that people who drink diet, how many people here drink diet sodas? In Atlanta, a lot of people drink diet sodas. People who drink diet sodas are twice as likely to be obese than people who don't. Reason being, there's no calories in them. It's true, but Artificial sweeteners are 500 times sweeter than regular sugar. Digestion starts in your mouth. As soon as that hits your tongue, it sends a message to your brain that says there's a lot of sugar coming in, get ready. Your brain sends a message to your pancreas, start pumping out insulin to negate the sugar. Pancreas pumps out a bunch of insulin. An hour later, your body realizes, wait, there's no sugar in my body. So your brain goes, okay, we need to negate the insulin. You need to eat, and you need to eat now. You need to eat sugars, carbs, something to negate this insulin. So that's how you gain weight with diet soda. But you don't want to be eating sweet stuff first thing in the morning like that. That's why you give like we touched on earlier, you give your kid juice, cereal, and that milk, which is a high-fat, high-sugar food, to school, and they go nuts. You give a businessman 2 glasses of orange juice before he goes to a meeting, he wouldn't be able to spell cat if you gave him the C and the T, okay? Because he just would want to crash. So what would I eat for breakfast? Things like, you can't eat carbs, but I would eat complex carbs, like whole grains, oatmeals. I would eat turkey bacon, is great because it's lower in fat. Uncured bacon, make sure it's uncured so it doesn't have the nitrates and nitrites in it. You can use things like flax, even some sunflower seeds are great in the morning. That oatmeal. Yeah, and egg whites. Egg whites are great. They're high in protein, low in fat because you take the yolk out. And you could even do like two whites and 1 yolk. I mean, that's okay too. You put a little fat in there, but you're going to get higher you're going to up the protein with the extra white. So I would go for breakfast a little higher on the protein, a little lower on the carbs. And if I do carbs, I would do like I said, complex carbs as opposed to refined carbs. There's also those cereals out there if you want to go as opposed to oatmeal. They have like cream of brown rice, which is great. And you can get organics like that. If you go to your local specialty market, go to the cereal like where the oatmeals are kept. There's tons of stuff on the shelf that you can look at that are complex carbs that are not going to spike your blood sugar as much in the morning. That's the whole key. If you spike that blood sugar, if you eat foods that are high in the glycemic index and spike that blood sugar, it's going to be an uphill battle for the rest of your day. So you got to really watch that. Does that help you? Does that answer your question?
So much. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Who's next? I saw you had a question earlier. Okay. Anyone? Okay. Is that it? Is that it? Are we done? Last call. Last call. We're flicking the lights. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks, Atlanta, for coming along for the ride. It was fun.
All right, thank you.
Having us, yeah.
Thank you. What? Do you have another? What's that?
No, I was just saying thank you for having us.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. You asked some good questions. Yes, we'll be in the cafe. You can come talk to us. We're very accessible. We'll be here for a while. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I really appreciate your attention, your time, and your questions.